down to one word: about control. The protagonist is someone who, among other things, is an extremely ambitious and very bright woman. She has a very tense yet passionate relationship with the people that she ends up engaging with. And she has a very tense and, let's say, also passionate. I'll try to come up with a better word other than passionate, but that's all that's coming to mind now. She has a really tense relationship as well with her own father, played by Kevin Costner in the movie. So, as always, Jessica Chastain is brilliant. Idris Elba is amazing. The writing, of course, because it's Aaron Sorkin, is much like if you've seen The West Wing or if you've seen The Social Network, very cerebral. He's very intellectual. For those who appreciate that style of screenwriting, you probably love his movies, you love his work. For those who don't, it's probably difficult. Watching these movies would be like if you're not someone who's a fan of Wes Anderson and somebody like your boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody drags you to go see the Darjeeling Limited, or I know that's a throwback, but if someone were to do that and you're not into Wes Anderson, it's going to be torture for you, right? Because that's not your thing. Assuming safely, if you're watching this video, of course, assuming you like Aaron Sorkin's writing, let's get into why it's so brilliant. And then we're going to continue. We'll play like a short scene. I want to play at least like 5 minutes from the movie itself. And spoiler alert, definitely don't watch when we play that scene, just because it's towards the end and it's one of the most pivotal parts of the film. So again, I think this movie could be boiled down to the theme of control. And it's also about like how, as humans, how we form relationships with one another. So take our protagonist, played by Jessica Chastain. She's this young woman who gets involved with hosting and profiting from these poker games, these poker rings. And what ends up happening is you watch the poker games play out and you see fun characters like Michael Cera comes up and all this stuff, but there's always the power play, right? Because she is not participating in the poker games themselves. She gets to kind of be the leader in the whole operation, so that she's the one in charge and ultimately the go-to. If anybody needs permission, if anybody needs to ask a question or do such and such thing, she's the person that they're going to come and speak to. And then she gets to have the luxury of saying yes or no. And calling the shots is a big deal. And now just a quick note about what's called the hero's journey in movies. Most modern films, or even postmodern films to a degree, have the tendency to apply what is the hero's journey, where man or woman or somebody goes on a journey throughout the movie and then they come home. It's like the journey coming home. You know, we've talked about the film Garden State. The movie Garden State is, to me, it is so clearly about going home from the start, where he lives in LA and then he's called for a funeral to come home back to Jersey. And then by the end, where he and Sam are like, you know, embracing in that really emotional moment, she's like, "Are you okay?" or something, and it's like he has that tear come for the very first time and he actually cries and he's like, "Yeah, when I'm with you I feel safe, you know, like I'm home." So with the hero's journey aspect, it's interesting because in Molly's Game you have the protagonist settling things in some way, kind of coming to a point of reconciliation with dad. And so that brings us to this scene that I want to play. So without further ado, let's play it, and then we can discuss it after.
Therapists that do for 100 years. I'm just going to give you the answers.
To what?
Well, let's start with this. Why does a young woman who, at 22, has a gold-plated resume, why does she run poker games?
Why did I choose to make a ton of money? That's a head scratcher.
You were going to be a success at anything you wanted. You know it. Gone to law school, you'd have owned a law firm right now. Why did you do the other thing instead? It was so you could control powerful men. Your addiction was having power over powerful men.
Is that what you really think?
No, I know it for sure. You've now completed your first year of therapy.
I saw an opportunity. It wasn't about you.
No, it wasn't just about me.
It wasn't at all about you.
It was. Second year. Second question.
Do you think you were a good husband?
What do you care?
I care because you were married to my mother. I care because my father's an asshole.
Congratulations. You completed year 2. And for the record, your father raised 3 kids on a college professor's salary. One of them is a 2-time Olympian. Managed to build a multi-million-dollar business using not much more than her wits.
I'm about to plead guilty in federal court.
Well, nobody's perfect. Point is, I did a few things right. Last question.
No, I have to go.
Last question, Laura. I'll answer it, but you have to ask it. You have to ask it.
Why didn't you like me as much as my brothers?
There it is. I did. It only from time to time appeared that I didn't.
It only appeared that you didn't.
Yeah.
That is some Schedule 1 bullshit. Why would it only appear? What? Oh, okay, I had an attitude problem. I talked back. I broke some normal adolescent rules. I snuck phone time after curfew. I took your car when I wasn't allowed
Drove it
to.
into a McDonald's.
And kids get punished for that, but
Did
they
you
don't.
not say the McDonald's? I mean, did you misunderstand what drive-through meant?
You turn into a different person. Your voice,
Because
your face.
you
And...
know.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, I knew you knew.
You knew I knew what?
What do you think about the following concepts? Just gonna run them by you. Marriage.
It is a trap.
That I was cheating on Mom. I knew you knew. Society.
It is a joke. No, I didn't know it until I was 20.
People.
I don't trust people.
No, you'd known since you were 5. You saw me in my car and you really didn't know what you saw.
I don't have any heroes.
You do, honey. And I knew you do, and that's how I reacted to the shame. And you reacted by showing seething contempt for me. Driving my car into McDonald's.
Wanting to have power over powerful men?
No. That was a red herring just to make you mad. You tripped over a stick. Okay? 12 years ago, you tripped over a stick. It was a 1 in a million thing. You tripped over a stick. That's what you did wrong. There's your session. It's funny how much faster you can go when you're not charging by the hour. I'm your father. Trying to comprehend how much I love you would be like trying to visualize the size of the universe. I didn't know. You got beaten up until I read it in your book. It was a hell of a way to learn about it. You should know that I'm hiring someone to find the guy who did it, then I'm hiring someone to kill him.
Don't even joke about that.
I'm not.
It wasn't a person, it's your dad. It was the
I
mafia.
don't care if it's the leader of Hamas. Someone put their hands on you, they're going to suffer.
Dad, I'm fine.
No, they're going to suffer.
Dad, I'm all right.
No, they're going to suffer.
Really, I'm fine.
What this reminds me of is that scene somewhere in the middle of Fight Club where Tyler's driving and starts messing around and, like, you know, taking his hands off the wheel and the brake pedal and gas, just letting the car go. And Ed Norton's just like, yo, like, he's freaking out, of course. And Tyler just goes, stop trying to control everything and just let go. And that's what I was thinking of, like, right after I watched the scene, because there's so much control when it comes to the relationship between just like one coach coaching a single individual for, let's say, in this case, the Olympics, or right. So she, and not only that, added layer, her coach was her dad. Now imagine that. Now the moment that really got me was when Kevin Costner asks that last question, which was, or rather, he's like, he asks Molly to ask the last question, which was like, why did you like my brothers more than me? And how it was difficult, and he finally admits this in the scene, it was just difficult for him to be real with her in that period through her upbringing and through her maybe not connecting the dots immediately, but realizing something was off, that he was maybe being unfaithful and having an affair she's going through, and then he's unable to really be vulnerable and connect with his own daughter who he loves so strongly. And that was made clear, right? So I think that was definitely the relationship. To me, the most important part to me and the most valuable was just that, the father and daughter relationship, how beautiful that was. With that, then I want to just kind of wrap up, I guess, with the theme that we first initiated the discussion about, control, and how that's key still to our understanding of Molly's Game. So I would say, now we all experience the theme of control to some degree or another in our lives, especially as we see it play out in our personal relationships. And so Molly has this urge to control and benefit off of, like, and then profit, like, financially off that control of others, particularly men, but really specific to men. I mean, it is, and that's what plays out. That's what's revealed with this conversation between her and her dad. And it's interesting because I see that in myself. I would ask any viewers, like, look in yourself while you're watching this, like, and I realized there were levels of, like, me in previous romantic relationships in college. Like, I tried to control our environment and, like, where we would go. Part of that was I had, not to share too much or disclose, but it's not a big deal. I had a substance abuse problem and was severely addicted to alcohol at this time. This was like several years back, towards the end of college. And for that reason, my area of control was where we would be and this or that, or like control the time that I would leave her place if I wasn't going to spend the night, so I could make sure I could get to the liquor store, like stop there before I got home, like those kinds of things. So I think what's worthy of reflecting on is, to what degree do we seek to control other people? Because in a poker match, I think that's obviously, like, you want to manipulate other people, not to go too specific into, like, poker itself as a game, but just to say, like, since that's kind of one of the subjects in Molly's Game, we're talking about, like, wanting to manipulate others' minds because they're your opponent and you want to win ultimately. So if you can make them think you have a good hand and the better hand, you know, Okay, that's strategic, right? That's how you win. But it's not to an unhealthy degree. Like in that context, sure, makes sense. Now, in the big scheme of things, was the degree to which Molly was seeking to control men, was that to a toxic level? Was it? And I think after we watched, so this conversation, this is in the last like 20 minutes of the movie, 25 minutes. The whole entire movie is like a little over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. And so what we realized is, yeah, I think it was probably an unhealthy degree to which Molly sought to control other men. So in the film, Molly's relationship with all these other powerful men speaks to me to the greater theme of the degree to which we all seek some level of control within our relationships, within our romantic relationships, and otherwise. That's really what I wanted to discuss here. I'd love to hear from you and what your thoughts are on the movie as a whole. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are your favorite aspects of the movie? With that, I'll end it there. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.